Hello, bruvs. We're back with Glenda by Janice May Udry, illustrated by Marc Simont. Chapter 6, Bring a Pet Week. When the class came to the chapter in the science book on animal life, Miss Willow said that they could each bring an example of animal life from home, if it was in a small box or cage. We will call this Bring a Pet Week. You should only bring a creature that you can easily carry to and from school without any help, said Miss Willow. Be sure to bring food for your pets. Into Miss Willow's room that week came jars of grasshoppers, frogs, and turtles, and one garter snake. A hamster, a mouse, a kitten, and a rabbit also arrived, each in its own box. I'm going to bring my talking crow, announced Glenda. Casbo made a terrible fuss about getting into a cage. Glenda had owned him for many years, but he had never been inside a cage in his life. What's that? He yelled when Glenda brought it out and dusted it off. You know what it is, said Glenda. Don't pretend you don't know what a cage is. You're going to school with me tomorrow because nobody else has a talking pet. School? Me? Cried the crow. School with all those what-do-you-call-ems? Do you mean children, said Glenda. Well, of course there will be children there, but they won't hurt you. I don't trust them, said Casbo, hunching up his shoulders. Never did. He spied the cat going out the door to hunt for mice. Why don't you take Zachary? Why me? He would fit into that whatchamacallit cage just as well as I would. No, I don't want to take a cat. There's already a kitten in the room. I want something unusual, and that's you. Come on now. Just go in the little door. It's a nice, comfortable cage, and here's some corn. No, screeched Casbo. I'll never go in there, never. Glenda stamped her foot. Then you're going to get awfully hungry because your dinner is in there, and you'll have to go into the cage to get it. And she put a cup of corn, which the crow loved, inside the cage. Ah, no, Glenda, no. Cat's like, I'm getting out of this. It's a pretty cool cage, honestly. It's not a Hendrix, though. I'll starve first, shouted Casbo, but he eyed the corn hungrily. In the morning, Casbo still had not gone into the cage to eat. I'm weak from hunger, he wailed. I'm dying. Go into the cage then, said Glenda. Hurry up, I'm almost late for school. Slowly, sorrowfully, like a man walking to the gallows, Casbo climbed into the cage. Glenda snapped the door shut. Now we're ready, she crooned. Casbo gobbled corn all the way to school and never said a word. Be nice and don't say anything rude in the classroom, said Glenda as they neared the playground. Don't worry, said Casbo, popping the last kernel of corn into his beak. I won't say anything rude because I'm not going to say anything at all. And I'm not going to say one word, he chortled triumphantly. You've got to talk, said Glenda. If you don't say anything, you'll just be a plain old crow. I don't care if those what-do-you-call-ems don't know I can talk. I don't want them to know. But I told them you talk, wailed Glenda. You've got to talk. No, I don't, said Caswell. They'll think I'm a clam. And he tucked his head under his wing. With his stomach full of corn, he was soon sound asleep. Wake up, said Glenda, banging on the bars of the cage. Casbo never stirred. Wake up, shouted Glenda, clomping the cage on the sidewalk. But it was no use. The crow never moved a feather. True to his word, Casbo never spoke a word in Miss Willow's class. In fact, he barely seemed alive except when he was eating. Glenda had to feed him because Miss Willow made sure that all the visiting pets were being well cared for. Is he sick? Asked Fred. He barely moves. I thought you said he could talk, said John. When is he going to start? He does talk, murmured Glenda, when he wants to. Can you make him? Asked Tom. Not here, said Glenda. I'll bet he can't talk, said Fred. He's just a plain old crow. Friday after school, Glenda took Casbo home in his cage and banged him down. She opened the door of the cage. I hope you're satisfied, she said. Yes, indeed, said Casbo. I enjoyed my visit to Miss Willow's class. Those little what-do-you-call-ems weren't bad at all. I really enjoyed listening to the school lessons. I learned quite a bit, but I could hardly keep from laughing sometimes when I heard you talking so sweetly to the teacher. I like this crow. By the way, you can't draw very well, can you? Not like that girl Alice. Eek! He yelled as he flew up onto a rafter. Glenda had thrown the cage at him. Temper, little girl, he mocked. I like that crow. There should be a book about the crow. All right, that's halfway through the book. What is this? What is this?